Hello friends, welcome back in this video session of medicinal chemistry. We were discussing about the drug metabolism. Drug metabolism is also referred as biotransformation. We have seen why we require to metabolize the drug, which usually happens inside the liver. So the liver is considered as a powerhouse of various microsomal enzymes which actually bring the conversion of one form of drug into its other chemical form. So there will be a biological transformation of drug from one chemical form to the other chemical form. We have seen why this drug metabolism is required, what is the purpose of drug metabolism, what are the main types of drug metabolism, and we have also seen the various ways by which the drug is getting metabolized in the body. Now this is what we have discussed in the first session of drug metabolism. If you have not watched this particular video, the link is given on the top of this video. Now today we will discuss mainly the types of drug metabolism, or what are the types of these phase 1 and phase 2 reactions. So we have already briefed up about these types. Phase 1, which is also referred as non-synthetic or functionalization reactions. So what usually happens in these kind of phase 1 reaction, it basically involves the generation or exposing the functional group. In this type of reactions, the metabolites are converted into its active or inactive metabolites so that they will be easily eliminated from the body. So phase 1 reaction converts the compounds into more hydrophilic kind of compounds. Because of the hydrophilicity, we can eliminate those compounds in the form of urine or some other kind of metabolite which are usually hydrophilic. Then we have seen phase 2, which are quite different from phase 1. They are basically synthetic reactions, or they are also referred as the conjugation reaction. So in phase 2 reaction, these are an endogenous radicals which are getting conjugated with the drug. So metabolites are generally inactive. There are certain exceptions, and main reaction involved in this phase 2 is glucuronide conjugation. So this glucuronide conjugate of morphine and sulfate, they form a conjugate, right? And these are the exceptions for this kind of phase 2 reactions. Okay, now as I told you, the main primary site of drug metabolism in the body is liver, and there are of course secondary sites what we have discussed in the first session. So the main family of these kinds of metabolizing enzyme, we refer it as a cytochrome P450 enzymes. So these are the main enzymes. We can consider it as a class of family, or it is a family of enzymes which have multiple enzymes in this particular group, and they are mainly responsible for carrying out the oxidative reaction in phase 1. So phase 1 type we have seen. Now in this phase 1, which is basically an generation or exposing the functionality for the oxidative reactions. So especially these oxidative biotransformation processes are most common and important in the drug metabolism. Most of the drugs what we have, they undergo the drug metabolism by phase 1 reaction. And in phase 1 reaction, again there are various kinds of reactions, right? And main reaction is the oxidative biotransformation. Okay, most of the drugs undergo oxidative biotransformation, and the enzyme system carrying out these transitions are referred as mixed function oxidase, or it is referred as monooxygenases, right? So these are the monooxygenases. Now what is a basic reaction? So as we are discussing from point of medicinal chemistry. You might have already discussed, have studied this particular concept of drug metabolism in pharmacology also, from the pharmacology point of view. Now we have to discuss from medicinal chemist point of view. So we need to understand the reactions involved in it, right? And we have to predict what kind of functionalities and how the hydrophilic products are getting formed or metabolites are getting formed. So when we talk about the generalized oxidative reaction which are happening in the phase 1, so this is a general stoichiometry of oxidation process of drugs or the xenobiotics, which are the foreign substances. So this, you can consider this RH as a substrate. Okay, so this is the substrate, and this is reacting with NADPH. So this NADPH is the reduced form of NADH, and as it is the oxidation reaction or oxidative reaction, so oxygen is getting added. So here we can see there are two oxygens. So these two oxygens are getting added. One oxygen is getting added to the substrate, and the other oxygen is released or removed in the form of water. So you can see here ROH. So one of the oxygen is added here and it has formed the alcohol. So this is considered as a hydroxylated product or the metabolite, and one oxygen is getting removed or eliminated in the form of water. Okay, so this is a generalized reaction, and these reactions are catalyzed. These reactions are happening in presence of these oxidases or monooxygenases enzymes, which we are considering under the family of cytochrome P450, right? Now there is a large family, as I told you, which carry out these basic chemical reactions, and there is a peculiar nomenclature for these kinds of enzymes. So you can see here in this CYP stands for cytochrome P450. So whenever I see in any particular enzyme this capital CYP is written, that denotes the cytochrome P450. It belongs to the cytochrome P450 class of the enzymes. Then after that, the Arabic number 1 here, for example, so this 1 indicates the family of this particular enzyme, in which family they belong. So it could be 1, 2 and so on. Then the subfamily is indicated with the capital letter. In this case it is capital A. So capital A here is a subfamily of this particular enzyme. And finally we have again the number. So this number indicates the individual enzyme in the subfamily. Okay, so this is the way we nomenclate the microsomal enzymes which are doing the oxidative kind of biotransformation through these phase 1 reactions. For example, we can take this CYP1A2, then CYP2C9, CYP2D6. So likewise there are lots of enzymes which are there in this cytochrome P450 enzyme. Now the question arises, why this cytochrome has the name 450? Why this number is given, or from where this number has arrived? So this cytochrome P, so this is the reduced form of this particular cytochrome P450. This actually binds with the carbon monoxide, and this form a complex, and this complex has the distinguishing absorbance at wavelength 450 nanometer. So this is a reason why this 450 number is given. So 450 is a lambda max when this particular enzyme binds with carbon monoxide and it forms a complex, and when you analyze this complex with the spectroscopic technique, especially the UV visible spectroscopy, then we observe the maximum absorbance at 450 nanometer, and that's why this 450 name has given. Now we'll see what kind of reactions actually happens, or through which the drug get metabolized and eliminated from the body. So in phase 1 there are several reactions. The first category, as I mentioned, these are the oxidative reactions. So under oxidative reactions we have diverse kind of moieties in the drugs. So oxidation of aromatic moieties, then oxidation of olefins, benzylic, allylic carbon atoms and carbon atoms alpha to the carbonyl and imines. Then oxidation happening at aliphatic and alicyclic carbon atoms. Oxidation involving carbon heteroatom system like nitrogen, sulfur and so on. And oxidation of aldehydes and ketones. So these are the reactions which we are going to see one by one under the oxidative reactions. Then we have certain reductive reactions of aldehydes and ketones, nitro and azo compounds, and then miscellaneous reductive reactions. And we have hydrolytic reactions. So under hydrolytic reactions we have hydrolysis of ester and amides, hydration of epoxide and arene oxide by epoxide hydrase. So these are the reactions which are classified under phase 1 with oxidative, reductive and hydrolytic reactions. Now we will see the reactions which are there in phase 2. So phase 2 are also referred as conjugation reaction or synthetic reaction. So in this case mainly the conjugate is getting formed, right? So some of the drug metabolites directly undergo phase 2 reactions, and some of the drugs they undergo phase 1 first and then they undergo phase 2. So phase 1 the functionality is exposed, and then exposed functionality is getting formed or adduct in this particular phase 2 reactions, which we call it as a conjugate. So the very popular reaction under phase 2 is a glucuronidation or glucuronic acid conjugation. Then we have sulfate conjugation, conjugation with glycine, glutamine and other amino acids. And then we have glutathione or mercapturic acid conjugation, acetylation and finally methylation. So these are the reactions which we are going to study under phase 2 or conjugation reactions. Now let's start with the phase 1, especially the oxidative reactions, which are very common and very important. Now most of the drugs what we have, they are having the aromatic structure, right? They have the phenyl ring in the structure. So oxidation of these aromatic moieties or aromatic hydroxylation is very common. So what actually happens in this aromatic hydroxylation, OH group is getting added to the aromatic ring system. So this is a major route of metabolism for many drugs containing the phenyl group, and many foreign compounds containing aromatic moieties, they are susceptible for such kind of reactions. Oxidation of aromatic compounds, which we refer it as arenes, to their corresponding phenolic metabolites arenols because of the OH group through an epoxide intermediate. So there is an intermediate which is in between conversion of arenes to arenols, and that happens through the formation of arene oxide. Hydroxylation occurs mostly at the para position. So we'll see what is the reason here. Now you can see this is a generalized reaction for conversion of arene to arenols. So you can see this is a R group, right? And the OH or the hydroxyl group is getting added exactly para to this particular R, and this arenol forms through the formation of intermediate which we refer it as a arene oxide. So this is a arene oxide which is shown in this bracket because if it is an intermediate, right? And this will get converted to the arenols, which is hydrophilic, water soluble, which can be eliminated. Now oxidation of these aromatic moieties, we can judge if your aromatic moiety has electron donating group. If it has electron donating group, then what will happen? The phenyl ring system is rich in the electron. So whenever the phenyl ring system is rich with the electron, then what happens? the oxidative reactions, the hydroxylation reaction will be easily happening through these microsomal enzymes. So hydroxylation is very easy. We can see the drug amphetamine. Now in this amphetamine, this is considered as R group, and the para position we can see here. So this is a para position, right? So the drug is getting hydroxylated para to this particular phenyl ring. Okay, then we can see the phenyl butazone. Again in phenyl butazone, so this is a para position to this particular substituent, and the hydroxylation is happening to the corresponding hydroxyl derivative. Then similarly we can have a popular drug phenytoin, and in this phenytoin again we can see the hydroxylation is happening exactly at para position to these particular substituent. So phenytoin is getting converted to para hydroxyphenytoin as a metabolite which can be excreted easily. On the other hand, if you have the electron withdrawing group like chlorine, carboxylic acid and so on, so the effect is reverse and the hydroxylation will not happen, or it will be very slow. So if electron withdrawing groups are attached to the benzene ring or phenyl ring, they will withdraw the electrons from the benzene ring, and there will be possibility of hydroxylation will minimize. So you can see in this particular drug of clonidine hydrochloride. Now in clonidine hydrochloride, we can see here chlorine atoms are attached to this phenyl ring, and because of this electronegative chlorine, it is withdrawing the electron cloud from this phenyl ring, and in this case there is a less possibility of getting this phenyl ring hydroxylated. So aromatic hydroxylation here is very difficult. Similarly, we have another drug, probenicide. Now in this probenicide, we have a carboxylic acid and we have the SO2N. So both are electron withdrawing groups, and because of this, the hydroxylation of this particular phenyl ring will not happen, and therefore the probenicide will not undergo into another metabolite or its corresponding metabolite by the aromatic hydroxylation. Okay, so this is all about with respect to electron withdrawing group. If they are attached to the phenyl ring, aromatic hydroxylation is difficult, or sometimes it could not happen. Then if compounds contains multiple aromatic rings, hydroxylation is generally preferred on the electron rich ring. So you can see here in para-chlorobiphenyl, on this phenyl ring we have a chloro substitution, and this is electron withdrawing. So comparatively, if I compare this ring which is unsubstituted here, whereas this ring is substituted with the electron withdrawing group, so obviously the electron rich phenyl ring is this one, and that's why the hydroxylation is favored on this electron rich ring where the arrow is indicated. Similarly, we have a chlorpromazine. Now you can see in chlorpromazine, this ring contains a chlorine moiety, chlorine functionality. So on this ring hydroxylation is difficult. On the other hand, this ring doesn't have any electron withdrawing group directly attached, and hence the hydroxylation is possible on this particular position. Then we have a diazepam. Now in this diazepam, we can see this is again a phenyl ring attached with the chloro substitution. So this is difficult to hydroxylate, whereas this ring can be easily hydroxylated because of the electron rich ring. Then oxidation of aromatic moieties. In this, nowadays we have a very common problem with the environmental pollutants. So these are referred as xenobiotics. So polychlorinated biphenyls like TCDD, and this TCDD, if you look at the structure, so this is a tetrachlorodibenzo 1,4-dioxane. Now you can see there are 4 chlorine functionalities which is making these particular ring, both the rings, or the particular structure shown here, it is very difficult to hydroxylate. It is in fact this is not getting hydroxylated, and because of this it will not get metabolized, it will not get converted into a water soluble compound, and therefore it will not get excreted from the body, and because of that it will get accumulated in the body and it will show its toxic effect and health hazards to the body. Okay, so this is the thing which we need to understand from the medicinal chemistry point of view. Then another is the possible reaction pathways for the arene oxide. So whenever we have seen, whenever the arene oxides, so arene oxides are the intermediates, right, and these intermediates are converting into arenols. So when you have arene to arene oxide and arene oxide to arenol, right? So there are various possible pathways. So first you can see the arene oxide can undergo spontaneous rearrangement. You can see there is a rearrangement going on here, and this will undergo the NiH shift and it will form the arenol. So this is the arenol which is hydrophilic in nature. So this is what we require. So arene oxide is converted to arenol. Another possibility is that arene oxide is reacting with water and then it is forming trans dihydrodiols. So there are two hydroxyl group which are getting introduced here. So this will be more hydrophilic compared to the arenols what we are getting here, and this will be easily eliminated. Okay, then another is GSH. So this is basically the adduct formation. So glutathione adduct will form. So you can see the glutathione is getting added here and it is getting also hydroxylated. So these are the three possible pathways by which the arene oxide can be converted to the respective arenols or trans dihydrodiols or glutathione adduct, and this is the way by which they are detoxified and eliminated from the body. If your arene oxide is not getting metabolized by these three possible pathways, there is another possibility that the macromolecules present in our body will react with these highly unstable arene oxide and they will form a covalently bound adduct. So this covalently bound adduct with the arene oxide is happening with the macromolecules like DNA, RNA or protein, and this is very dangerous to our body because this adduct leads to the cellular damage. Okay, so we have to take care, and these possible pathways should happen and it will be detoxified and eliminated from the body. Then next kind of reaction is oxidation of olefins. So olefins is nothing but it is a carbon-carbon double bond. So they are alkenes. So metabolic oxidation of olefins or carbon-carbon double bond, this usually leads to corresponding epoxide, which we refer it as a oxirane. So these epoxides are generally more stable and they are more water soluble as compared to the arene oxides which are getting formed in the aromatic compounds what we have discussed. For example, you can see the carbamazepine. So this carbamazepine is getting converted to the epoxide or the oxirane. You can see the epoxide is getting formed and then this epoxide is converted to the corresponding diol. So you can see trans 10,11 dihydroxy carbamazepine is getting formed. So this is the metabolite of carbamazepine which is getting formed through the formation of epoxide, carbamazepine 10,11 epoxide. So this is the reaction happens with the olefins. It is a oxidative reaction of olefins. Okay, then similarly we can see the benzopyrene. So this is a structure of benzopyrene. So you can see there are a lot of double bonds here. Now consider this double bond is getting converted to a epoxide. So you have here the benzopyrene 7,8 epoxide, right? And then this is getting converted to its corresponding dihydrodiol, right? Dihydrodiol. So this is the metabolite of benzopyrene, which is hydrophilic in nature and can be eliminated easily. Then we have another reaction, that is oxidation at benzylic carbon atoms. So what is benzylic carbon atom? So the carbon which is connected to the benzene ring, we refer it as a benzylic carbon or benzylic position, and they are susceptible to oxidation and to form corresponding alcohol metabolite. For example, you can see, so this is the carbon attached to the aromatic ring. You can see here, this one, we can refer it as the benzylic carbon or benzylic position. So this will convert into a corresponding alcohols. Let's say if the corresponding alcohol is primary alcohol, then that will get oxidized further to aldehydes and carboxylic acids. If it is secondary alcohol, then it will be converted to the ketones. And another possibility is that it can undergo the conjugation. So it can form a conjugate with the glucuronic acid. So these are the three possible ways by which the benzylic carbon atom will form its corresponding metabolites and then will be eliminated from the body. We have another example of tolbutamide. So this tolbutamide, you can see, so this CH3, so this methyl carbon is referred as a benzylic carbon, and this benzylic carbon is getting converted to alcohol. So you can see here CH2OH. So OH group is introduced. So this is forming the corresponding alcoholic metabolite, and then this alcoholic metabolite is getting carboxylated. So alcohol is converted to a carboxylic acid. So this is a carboxylic acid metabolite of tolbutamide, and this will be easily eliminated from the body. Similarly, we have tolmetine, and this tolmetine, again you can see the methyl group attached to this phenyl ring. So this is a benzylic carbon atom which is getting metabolized to the corresponding alcohol, and then alcohol is getting metabolized to the corresponding carboxylic acid derivative of tolmetine. Then next kind of reaction is oxidation at allylic carbon atoms. So what are allylic carbon atoms? Carbon bonded to carbon, which in turn bonded to doubly bonded carbon atoms. So this is what we refer in organic chemistry as allylic carbon atoms. So microsomal hydroxylation at allylic carbon atoms is commonly observed in the drug metabolism. So you can see here, so this is a very popular drug, quinidine. Now in this quinidine, we can see this carbon is referred as the allylic carbon, and this carbon is easily getting metabolized to its hydroxyl derivative, which we can refer it as a 3-hydroxyquinidine, which is water soluble and can be eliminated. Similarly, we have the another example of hexobarbital. This hexobarbital is getting converted to the hydroxyl derivative. So you can see here, so this carbon is referred as the allylic carbon because the next carbon is bonded to the doubly bonded carbon atoms, right? So this is getting hydroxylated, and then subsequently it is getting converted to the 3-oxohexobarbital. That is the metabolite of that corresponding hexobarbital, and this hydroxylated hexobarbital can also undergo the orthoglucuronide conjugation. So this is what we were talking about. So in this case, what is happening in phase 1, the functionality has been generated and then it has been exposed to undergo these kind of conjugate formation. So that is also possible in phase 1 reactions. So these are the reactions what we wanted to study in this second part of drug metabolism. We will see some more reactions in the next part. Thank you for watching it.